If we googled what is the definition of pop music, we will find that pop is short for popular, and it is the most mainstream musical genre. That's it. There are no recurring motifs, no certain chords, or even musical instruments that need to exist in a song for it to be labeled as a pop song. If it is accessible and resonates with a wider audience, then it is pop. This is why throughout the years pop music encompassed so many other genres like rock, disco, and even hip-hop. It seems like what we know as pop music has been changing drastically over the years.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something. Maggie comes 3 foot face full of black suit top. Tango's fighting in the dance hall. So you think you can stop me and spit my ass? 'Cause this is dinner night. Take on me. Sweet dreams are made of these. Oh baby, baby, I want and let the lights down. Coming looking so crazy right now. Your love's coming looking so lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. I want you ugly, I want you disease, and we'll never be royal. Hey, I remember syrup sandwiches and crime allowances. I'm the bad guy. Duh.
Each decade since the 60s had certain musical trends that defined the pop genre, but the 2020s is a completely different story. In an era with short attention spans and social media supremacy, pop music has become a very broad term that could mean so many things. There was no shortage of musical trends in the late 2010s or early 2020s. We had cloud rap, 80s synthwave,
Since it is cold and empty, no one's around to judge me.
and disco revival.
Like the legend of the phoenix, all ends with beginning.
However, if we could choose one musical movement that might not only define the current state of pop music, but also inspire the future of it, it would undoubtedly be hyperpop. Hyperpop was Spotify's way of categorizing the music that came out of PC Music label, which is a label that was founded by agcook back in 2013, when he started to upload an abundance of tracks on SoundCloud. And after only 1 year, the label had over 40 tracks online, from artists like Hannah Diamond, Cook himself, and Danny L. Harl. But more on that later. All these tracks were compiled in an album titled PC Music Volume 1. And they did hit the zeitgeist with this album, as it offered a new industrial and experimental take on the pop genre. The album embraced cyberculture while wearing its late 2000s musical inspirations on its sleeve, from techno music to bubblegum pop. It also included a mix of high blown bass and inhumanly high-pitched vocals, which later on became the trademark of the genre. But what took the genre to new heights was the already established artists who got gravitated to PC Music label, most notably Charli XCX, who later on became the face of the genre after the release of her 2017 mixtape Pop 2. Pop 2 later on became the constitution of hyperpop, as the album's sonic direction has seeped into the DNA of the genre. Until this day, any hyperpop song that you've ever listened to can be traced in one way or another to Pop 2. The album also introduced so many new artists who later on became the new wave of the genre. Actually, one of these artists made probably the best album of 2023.
Welcome to my island.
Desire I Wanna Turn Into You is Caroline Polachek's second album following her critically acclaimed 2019 breakthrough album Pang. Or This Is What I Thought. From the first time you listen to Caroline, you'll know she's a fully developed artist. She understands her place in the stratosphere of pop genre, and she's a very skilled live performer with theatrical and expressionistic influences. She also has a firm grip on the art direction that she's going for. There is no freaking way that the 2019 album Pang is actually her first album. Well, in fact, Pang is not her debut, as Caroline had a very long and impressive career long before Pang. Her career started in the late 2000s when she became a part of the indie alternative band Chairlift. Chairlift was formed by Caroline herself and Aaron Fanning. They met at the University of Colorado in October 2005, and they were joined by Patrick Wimberly in 2007. Their career started to pick up after their song Bruises was featured in an iPod Nano commercial.
I tried to do handstands for you. I tried to do headstands for you.
They quickly capitalized on the popularity of this song and released their first album, Does You Inspire You? Brilliant title. Chairlift paid a lot of attention to their visual representation, which paid off in the music video of Evident Utensil, which got nominated for an award for a breakthrough video in 2009 at MTV's Video Music Award. This was the first music video ever to use data mushing. Data mushing is the process of manipulating the data of the media files in order to achieve a visual or auditory effect when the file is decoded. In the very same year, Kanye West was also working on what was supposed to be the first ever music video to use data mushing, Welcome to the Heartbreak. However, Chairlift bet him to it and released their music video first, which got Kanye so angry, and he's still bitter about it till this very day.
Were nominated for a VMA because we made the first music video to ever use this thing called data moshing. And there was actually a mini arms race because the team of genius nerd friends of ours that developed an easy way of doing this split in two. There was a schism in the nerd squad, and half of them started working on a video for Kanye, and half of them started working on a video for us.
Oh, wow.
And I actually, our video came out like a week prior, and Kanye got really angry online and like posted about that, like someone else had beaten him to the punch on data moshing. I met him like a year later at a party and introduced myself as Caroline from Chairlift, the other band that did the data moshing, and he like left the conversation immediately on the spot because he was still bitter about that.
Aaron Fanning was involved romantically with Caroline, and when they broke up, he decided to leave the band in 2012. However, the band did continue with only Caroline and Patrick, and they released their moderately successful album Something in 2012. After that, Caroline went on another music endeavor, releasing an album called Arcadia under her pseudonym Ramona Lisa during her stay in Villa Medici in Rome, Italy. The album consisted of 11 songs that flow together seamlessly. She describes the songs as pastoral electronic music. Caroline felt the freedom of exposing her feminine side in that album, which is something that she couldn't do while she was in Chairlift. From that point, Caroline despised the idea of genre categorization. She did not want to be put in an alternative/indie box forever. She wanted to expand, to explore, and that's probably why Chairlift broke up in 2016 after the release of their final album, Moth. 2016 was a turning point in Caroline's career, not only because Chairlift announced their breakup, but it was the year she met her producer Danny Elhar, and together they released a song titled Ashes of Love, which was the beginning of a very fruitful collaboration that will later on define her pop career. From that moment, Caroline and Danny became a duo, just like Charlie XCX and agcook, or Lana Del Rey and Jack Antonoff, for example. They just instantly clicked together, and Danny's production started to widen the horizon of what Caroline can be doing with her artistry. In 2017, Caroline was more and more involved in PC Music Collective, and she got featured in 2 songs of Charlie XCX genre-defining mixtape Pop 2. In 2017, Caroline also dropped her last relic of her bygone era before she completely transitioned from an indie darling into a full-on pop star. This instrumental album was called Drawing the Target Around the Arrow. And just like that, Caroline untethered herself from the mold that she was put in, and she was free to explore new artistic heights. Pang was her first album under her name Caroline Polachek, and it was very well received from the release of its first single, Door. Door was more somber and folk-tinged than anything that she has put out. She followed it with 2 other singles on the same line, Ocean of Tears and Parachute. Pang was not originally planned to be the album it shaped up to be. It wasn't even titled Pang. When Caroline and Danny started working on the album, it was called Calico, and it was supposed to be this introspective, peaceful album that explored Caroline's divorce from her husband of 2 years and Drennan. But in the middle of the production, they realized they were working on something so much more than just a breakup album. Pang is the sudden sharp pain that you feel, like a pang of guilt or a pang of anger. And this was the sonic manifestation of a feeling that Caroline was feeling. She describes it as an inexplicable adrenaline rush that kept her from sleeping. When Pang came out, it was met with great success. It was her first charting album, and it ended up in many year-end lists. It established Caroline as an up-and-coming force to reckon with. Things were finally looking up when all of a sudden her tour was cancelled because of COVID-19. The lockdown was both a blessing and a curse for Caroline. And due to the spike popularity of short-form videos and dancing trends, her song So Hot You're Hurting My Feelings started to gain more and more attention. The music video included very catchy tunes and an amazing choreography that you could dance to. This quickly went viral on TikTok and other social media platforms. Caroline also channeled all this frustration from the cancellation of her tour and started working on another album again. This album isn't only the best 2023 album, but this is Caroline's best album to date. Desire I Wanna Turn Into You is the culmination of Caroline's entire career up to this point. It was just the perfect moment where everything aligned together for the creation of this pop masterpiece. With a provocative title and 3 years of production, Desire I Wanna Turn Into You is an explosive record. It is as cerebral as it is playful and tongue-in-cheek. It is as melodic and harmonious as it is vulgar and unapologetic. It's a mix between the elegancy of Kate Bush and the rowdiness of Charli XCX. Caroline worked on this album from 2020 to mid-2021. Then she relocated to Barcelona with Danny, where she continued working on this album. This is why the album is infused with Latin flavors such as the Spanish guitar in Sunset. The first taste of the album was Bunny's Rider, which is a summer jam that is full of energy and vibrancy. The trip-hop inspired epic Billions, an almost 5-minute song that is so bizarre and intrinsic. She continued teasing the album with the spaghetti western Ennio Morricone inspired banger Sunset. And finally, the last single, which perfectly encapsulates the entire album, was out. Welcome to My Island, which she calls her brattiest song to date. The rollout of these singles was very captivating as they were released so far apart from each other in 2021, 2022, and 2023, and each one felt like it belonged to another world, and very few elements intersected between these singles. But together, they created a feeling, a heightened extremist reality. They represented the daydreaming moments that you feel in your mundane life, the zoning out moments on a subway while you're going to work, getting lost in your thoughts while you are on a walk on the streets by yourself. These are the feelings that Caroline wanted to encapsulate in the album. This was excellently demonstrated in the album's cover. The album had Caroline crawling away in a subway to a sandy beach with her eyes full of wonder. Desire also saw Caroline channeling her inspirations unapologetically, such as the Celine Dion-inspired song I Believe, which she cited that she got inspired to make this song when she was listening to Celine Dion on acid. The song Fly to You included Caroline's first ever collaboration, and it was a Grimes feature. It also included a feature from one of her icons, Dido, who clearly inspired Caroline in so many ways. Desire I Wanna Turn Into You represents everything positive in pop music. How it elevates our reality, how it's a form of escapism, how it comforts us when we feel alienated. It is just a product from an artist with a never-ending quest to create music that captures an ethereal state of mind without being limited to any genre limitations or mainstream trends. It is so hard to find music like that in a saturated scene with cleanly produced, genre-oriented market. And this has been the case for so many years. But in each generation, there are always these forward-thinking artists who don't abide by genre restrictions and rise above the mediocrity of the mainstream music. And when that happens, we get something that is truly special. This is why Desire I Wanna Turn Into You is pop perfection.